Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Military-style mass assassination in a major Western city just in time for a counteroffensive by the establishment as people become concerned about an over-militarized police force.
There's been a very serious push from the left saying, let's not over-militarize our cops. That should put an end to that discussion right now. We should over-militarize. We should continue to do that. Right after 9/11, there was the New York City cops. What they did was they did these shows of force. Heavily armed cops would walk around buildings. They get out with the full body gear, with the machine guns, ready just to show the bad guys they're there. That's kind of gone away. Maybe it's time to bring it back.
We are being hunted.
And this is the same group that in response to the CIA torture report being released, just kept repeating mindlessly, the U.S. is awesome, the U.S. is awesome, the U.S. is awesome.
The United States of America is awesome. We are awesome. But we've had this discussion. We've closed the book on it and we've stopped doing it. And the reason they want to have this discussion is not to show how awesome we are. This administration wants to have this discussion to show us how we're not awesome.
Now we've got a guy who's telling us that our police are not militarized enough. We need to over-militarize them. Would an MRAP have saved anybody in this attack? If we treat our cities, our country, as occupied territory, that will worsen the situation. Let me remind you that the U.S. and all of its military occupations with all of its high-tech weaponry has never won an asymmetric war. What they have been able to do is successfully deceive the Republic again and again and again with false flags. Beware of false flags when it neatly fits into a narrative that turns around a current hot topic about government control, when the suspects are immediately identified, when it looks like a very professional attack, and yet we learn that the people that they're fingering are actually bumbling losers without any experience or training. Is that what happened here? We're told by Richard Clark, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, and many others that this looked like a very professionally executed operation. ABC News points out one of the gunmen is seen picking up what appears to be a shoe near the getaway car, something that an amateur would likely forget in the heat of the moment. You mean like forgetting and leaving their ID on the scene? Why would someone who's not an amateur even bring their ID with them on some kind of an operation like this? It becomes very interesting to see how the mainstream media is not only regurgitating, but elaborating the narrative that's being provided by the government. Well, USA Today said the brothers were born in Paris of Algerian descent. Sharif was sentenced to 3 years in prison on terrorism charges in May 2008. Both brothers returned from Syria this summer. That small quote there from USA Today is the only thing that I could find anywhere that would explain how they might have had this kind of training and experience. Yet it's only USA Today, and only in that one article from USA Today. Later articles don't reference them coming back this summer from Syria. There's no information about when they went to Syria, what they did there. There's no source for that information, only that one little sentence from USA Today. So we have to wonder if this is real or if this is something like the false reports that we got from NBC last night, saying that one of the suspects was killed, 2 others were apprehended. We also have been told that the hunt is going to the north of Paris. Meanwhile, there was a shooting with someone wearing a bulletproof vest killing a policewoman. That was to the south of Paris. What's going on with Inspector Clouseau? And who are these guys? Well, of the 3 people that they have listed as suspects, the getaway driver turns out to be an 18-year-old who hasn't completed high school yet, who turned himself in when he saw his name mentioned and appears to have an ironclad alibi being somewhere else. Of the other 2 guys, the younger brother is someone who has had an experience in the past with radical Islam. He was intercepted in 2005 as he was trying to travel to Syria and then on to Iraq to engage in jihad. However, after a 3-year trial, the trial showed him as someone who was kind of a naive loser who wanted to go on an adventure, somebody who was living with someone outside of marriage, who was a pot smoker, living a lifestyle that did not look like fundamentalist Islam. He was later picked up in 2010 as part of an investigation of a plan to free a radical Islamic from prison. Although he was charged, those charges were dropped by the prosecutor. That's it. That's his experience. As far as I can see in the media, there's no other information about them ever getting out of the country, either of them. And the older brother never had any scrapes with the law, never had anything that would link him to radical Islam. The only thing linking him to any of this is the ID that was magically found in the getaway car. And who is this newspaper, Charlie Hebdo, that was attacked? From what we're seeing in the media, it looks like they did nothing but antagonize Muslims constantly. Yet that's not the case. They started in 1969. They called themselves Harry Carey. In other words, they were coming out suicidally, attacking everyone and anything. Nothing was sacred. At one point, there was a fire in France where 140 people were killed in a nightclub. Headlines for a week said 140 dead. Every newspaper in France, 140 dead, 140 dead. The next week, Charles de Gaulle died, and the headlines were 1 dead. The French government was so outraged that they banned Harry Carey. They banned the newspaper. Governments like that are the kind of governments that need to be criticized, that need to be mocked and satirized. Undeterred, the writers and the cartoonists created a new magazine, and they called it Charlie Hebdo, French slang for Charles once a week. That was in the face of the French government, and that's the way they have operated ever since. And I have to say, from a religious standpoint, they made it a point of saying that they had only been sued once by a Muslim organization. They have been sued 13 times by Roman Catholic organizations. Certainly, their satire is crude, it's offensive, and in most cases, it's infantile. If you can't handle it for your religious beliefs, then maybe, as they said, your God is too small. And of course, the truth about God is not going to be resolved by any court lawsuit. We don't want to see political correctness or government edicts shut down free speech. We don't want to see the government, like France, banning a newspaper because they don't like what they printed. Not even political criticism, but just mocking their beloved leader. They banned a newspaper. But the real danger here is the danger that they are going to use this to not only justify the militarization of the police, but to take it to another level. That, to me, is the most hideous and revulsive satire of all. That kind of satire of free speech and a free republic begging for a security state, police in the streets intimidating people. That is obnoxious. That's what we have to guard against. For Infowars Nightly News, I'm David Knight.
Every year we make resolutions to lose weight and get in shape. And the truth is, it's hard, even with diet and exercise, because of toxic food and our environment that is stressing our bodies more than ever before. Working with experts in nutrition and biochemistry, I found that super high-quality nutraceuticals, in addition to my diet and exercise, were the answers that synergistically worked. I could see the drastic changes every day with the amount of weight I've lost, my increased stamina, and more of a twinkle in my eye. That's why we are now so excited to launch the Infowars Life Resolution Pack, combining 3 essential formulations: oxygen-based cleanser Oxy Powder, the Secret 12 bioavailable vitamin B12, and your choice of super female or super male vitality. Now all available at a discounted price to you and your family to bring in the new year and make 2015 a true success. That's InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. 2015 is the year to do it, and it all starts at InfoWarsLife.com.